You know, we always talk about government waste, government spending, and the way government should be running our tax dollars. After all, government has no money. They only have the money you and I give them to spend. And we like to see them try to spend that as efficiently as possible. And recently, Detroit Lakes and Becker County kind of teamed up. They looked at some options together because both have said they need to do something with the public works building. And so the idea came about of maybe having one public work building for both the city and the county. However, after a city council meeting 2 weeks ago, it appears that that will not be the case. And a vote of 7-0, with a couple of city council members absent, those being Gio Tucker and Dave Downey for that specific meeting, the city decided that it would not enter into an agreement with Becker County to build a new joint public works facility. And the reason they cited was it wouldn't be enough savings, frankly, and it would cost taxpayers too much money, one or the other. The savings, according to at least some sources, say it would have been about $1 million, but it would have been about a $10 million facility with about $5 million paid out apiece. But one of, I think, the big problems with it was the county wanted to go ahead with this right away. They wanted to get this done as soon as possible, where the city of Detroit Lakes, I think, was a little bit more hesitant on it. Basically, the plan that the city rejected would have called for them to, again, put in about $5 million for their portion of the facility. It would have involved them putting $750,000 down. Then they would have had a bond for the rest of the money for the facility. And it would have cost them on a 20-year bond at 4.5% interest, which would have been $340,000 a year for the city, about $6.8 million total with the interest is how much the city would pay. On a 30-year bond with 4.8% interest, and again, $280,000 a year is how much that would be in a 30-year bond, the city would end up paying back $8.4 million on the money that they borrowed. So by the time you include the interest rate in there, $8.4 million with the $750,000, you really get a little over $9 million. So I think the savings potentially would have been even less than what the city was originally thinking they could possibly be. So they're going to go their separate ways. The city of Detroit Lakes has a couple different options now what they could do. And a big part of the reason why they didn't want to take that option of joining up with the county is they say your tax values or your property tax rates would have probably gone up between 7 and 9%, depending on whether they went the 20 or 30-year bonding. And those are high jumps. And we've had jumps like that before in Detroit Lakes. They are very, very tough for property taxpayers to take. So basically the city has the option of either building a brand new building on their own or expanding on their current building, renovating it. The expansion and renovation seems to be potentially the cheapest solution. However, the city's option of building a new building in stages might be one of their best options. It would involve putting maybe $500,000 down, then spending $1.6 million right away on a 20-year loan, which would have been about $1.8 million by the time it's paid back with interest, or $2.4 million if it's paid back over a 30-year span, and then build the second part or the second phase later on if needed at about $2.7 million, but it'd be more than that with the interest rates. And that might come out to be about the same as teaming up with the county would have been, and the city would have its own facility. But that's really what I think it comes down to. We like our governments to work together, but let's face it, there's always a bit of a rivalry between governments, especially between counties and their county seats. And while I see that there would have probably been a savings here of several $100,000, maybe up to $1 million, even though I think it might have been a little less than that, the taxpayers would have been saving some money. But how much control would Detroit Lakes have to give up to Becker County, or vice versa? Would it have actually meant for better streets being plowed, better service to our streets, etc., our parks? Because really, the service we get is most important. But what I can't help is avoid thinking is, in a way, taxpayers of Detroit Lakes might get hit with a double whammy because we pay both county and city taxes. So if the city builds one individually, we pay for that too. If the county builds one individually, we've got to pay for that too. So in the long run, I don't know if we actually come out ahead. But in the short term, it's not going to happen, a combined facility this year. But let's hope the city and county continue to look at other options to save money, and maybe in the future there will be a way we can work together on some of these departments to save us all money here and have good services in Becker County, Detroit Lakes.